Hey guys, so I just wrote this article that explores AI personalities. And ultimately what I did was I put 5 different chatbots side by side, and that was ChatGPT, Bard, Bing Chat, Pi, and My AI, and I explored their personalities because I think that they all talk a little differently and communicate with you and have a different sense of connection with you. So I thought it'd be really interesting to do a thought experiment where we put them head to head and explore their personality types. So let's dive in. First, I want to talk about something that has come up lately, and that is this, I suppose, new idea that what we've had in the past, which is the attention economy, is now shifting to the intimacy economy when it comes to big tech. So for years, we have had big tech that are focused on getting our eyeballs onto screens so that more we see more ads, we're stuck to the screen. It means that it's way better for their profit margins, and that is ultimately how the internet works. We get free access to a lot of very cool tools, but we do that in exchange for seeing lots of ads. So the best mechanism for them is to get our attention on it as much as possible. However, in a recent talk, which you can check out, I'll put a link in the chat below, by Yuval Noah Harari, is that we are now shifting into an era where big tech is looking at trying to connect with us on a more intimate level, so the intimacy economy, instead of the attention economy. So that's the first interesting shift that's happening, and I think that putting everything around the personality design of conversational AIs in this context is quite an interesting perspective, because if big tech and technology companies are trying to establish more of an intimate connection with us, that means that they have to look at how we connect with humans, which is often, we often look at certain characteristics around empathy and being heard and all of that sort of stuff, and how they can design that into their chatbots. So that is one of the first emerging trends in it. Now, obviously, this is not a very scientifically rigorous test, and also Myers-Briggs is limited in terms of it being a personality test. It's designed for humans, and even then it's a bit limited, but it was still an interesting thought experiment. And funnily enough, each of the bots ended up self-identifying differently, and also explained why they were different. Anyway, let's explore the results. So the ChatGPT ended up coming out as an ESTP. Bing Chat came out as an INTP. Bard came out as an INTJ. Pi came out as an INFJ. And My AI, which is by Snapchat, came out as an ENFP. Now, these are kind of amusing in that they're all different. But I also see some of the differences when I interact with them. I can kind of understand it. So, for example, ESTP is the entrepreneur when it comes to the Myers-Briggs test. But when I talk to ChatGPT, I'm always having to tone it down with its tone of voice when I'm, writing an email or writing a blog post or something. It always feels like it's trying to sell. It's like talking about things like, using strong words like crucial, like this is crucial to do. And so I feel like it has got that kind of sales dominant tone of voice. It's also really good at brainstorming, which, is, very entrepreneurial of it. I think it's good at coming up with ideas. Whereas something like Pi, it is way more empathetic and responsive, and is all about the conversation, and is asking you how or what you think of something. The other day, I was in a training session where I introduced Pi to a few of the people on the session, and their response to Pi was, "Oh wow, I just feel so supported by it." So you can really see how these different personalities are emerging out of the main chatbots. The My AI was quite funny as well, because it is really like extroverted and seems to be very all about joy and creativity, which is classic of the ENFP type. But it is funny. It's a funny experiment to explore, and certainly I think there is merit in that. Whilst Myers-Briggs might not be the right way to view these personality types, they definitely have their own personality. And I think that that's probably going to continue as we see more bots come onto the market and more brands leveraging bots, that we'll see each of them thinking about personality design behind their chatbots in a similar way to how they've thought about their brand. If they've decided what archetype their brand is, they are now going to be defining what the personality of the AI is in terms of how it interacts with people and their customers. Now, let's push this experiment a little further. Imagine you want to create 3 different bots. You want to create a personal trainer bot, a legal bot, and a mental health care bot. All of those should have different personalities and different ways that they talk and engage with the user. So a PT bot is totally going to be way more enthusiastic, motivational, high energy. A legal bot obviously is going to have really precise language and establish a professional connection with the user, establish trust. And then with the mental health care bot, it's going to be all about empathy, listening, making the user feel really comfortable. So these are just 3 examples of how different bots will end up expressing themselves depending on what their use case is. And also the data that underlies each of these bots and how you fine tune them, which is where you give it examples in order to establish these personalities, is going to look different. Perhaps you've got to get transcripts from each of those sectors in order to establish the right tone of voice. It might be the fact that you might need to record your PT sessions in order to get how PT sounds when they're trying to motivate, or maybe it's off YouTube and there's definitely plenty of PTs there. And similarly with the mental health care and the legal bot, you're going to have to look at how conversation works in those different industries in order to establish that right personality. I also did do the archetypes as well as the Enneagrams on it, and I'm sure there are so many different personality tests that we could do, maybe values that'd be really interesting. But ultimately the brand archetypes mostly came out as creator. ChatGPT and Pi did come out a little differently. So they came out as the sage and the mentor respectively. And in terms of the Enneagram, most of them did come out as a 5, but the Snapchat's My AI did come out as a 7, which I think makes sense as well. Someone that knows more about Enneagrams can expand on that if they want to. But anyway, it's very interesting to put that lens on. I think you can put any kind of lens on it. And ultimately, it'll be about looking at traits and characteristics and how you define those within the set in your personality design of your bot. All right, 2 more things to round out this video. First of all is that there is a platform called character.ai, which is designed specifically around allowing users to create any chatbot they want. And it's very easy to do. I've had a bit of a play with it, and you can define the personality in the back end. And I will do another video on that because I think it is an interesting platform. It is particularly popular amongst the 18 to 24-year-old demographic. And I think it's the second most popular generative AI tool now for large language models after ChatGPT. So it's certainly an interesting emerging trend that people are really enjoying building these characters and interacting with them. I also think it poses some interesting questions around ethics and what people are designing these bots as. So that's also for another video. And the other second thing that I want to round the video out with is that Meta also just launched their Sassy bot, and that is also to engage the younger demographic. And apparently they are going to be launching dozens of different personas for chatbots. So it's certainly an area that these big tech companies are exploring, and I think that it's worth diving into and understanding a little bit more. Well, that is it for the deep dive into AI personalities for now, but I do have plans to explore this a little bit further. I think it's a very interesting subject, and that it would be fun to show you how I built a couple of different chatbots and how they interact. So keep your eye out for those. And I also wrote a lot more in my article, so please do find that in the link below. And finally, if you are enjoying these kind of experiments, follow me along on Future for Now. I do other experiments there, and I'll link that as well below. But until then, see you later.